Hey race fans, it's race day top 5 with me, Frank 5. Race 2 of the season with a new aero package, multiple passing, side-by-side action, and a man who's battling the flu all weekend comes away with a victory and locking himself into the postseason. Number 1, Brad Keselowski, who had been fighting the flu all weekend and actually set up final practice and let Xfinity rookie Austin Cindric take over his car. Was able to drive the car all day today and take home the Volkswagen QuikTrip 500. But now without a little challenge from Martin Truex Jr., who is coming behind him in those final few laps. But Brad held off Martin Truex Jr. as well as Kurt Busch, Kevin Harvick, and Clint Bowyer. Brad Keselowski, I mean, we all know how good he is at racetracks, and he won here 2 years ago, beating Kyle Larson when he got Larson above off the bottom. I mean, he's joining mid-pack today, and I was a little bit worried about him as well as his teammates because they really didn't show a lot of speed this weekend. But when it came down to the very end of the race, like halfway through the race, the Penske cars showed up in the top 10. Blaney led a few laps, Logano led a few laps, and then Keselowski took over and was able to drive away and bring home his first win of the season and makes him the all-time winningest NASCAR driver at Penske with 60 wins overall, counting Cup Xfinities, and locks himself into the playoffs. And we know Keselowski's going to be a contender, and a huge win for him today, and also the first win for the Mustang. So that's got to make Brad Keselowski feel very happy that he gets the first win for the Mustang. Number 2, a new aero package debuting for the 1.5 and 2 mile tracks, where we reduced the horsepower from 750 to 550, tampered spacer, and a longer splitter, made for some interesting and exciting racing today. I mean, we had side-by-side action from the green flag on restarts. I mean, there was passing mid-pack everywhere. I mean, everybody was very smart with this racing today. There were no crashes or anything. It was just side-by-side action all day. I thought it was wonderful. I know people have their opinions about, maybe it sucks, we don't need it. People thought maybe it's not what we expected. But from my eyes, I felt like it was some really good racing today. And I know there's going to be some challenges with this aero package as we go further on down the season to tracks like Vegas, which is going to be smoother than Atlanta because this track was abrasive and slick. Next week it's smoother, and then we go out to bumpy California, and then we go to smooth Texas Motor Speedway. But I think we're in for a pretty interesting season with this aero package. I think it can progress the racing, especially at some of these 1.5 and 2 mile tracks that are just being dominated from guys leading by 5 seconds. I think we're in for a good season. Number 3, Kevin Harvick, who has won 1 out of the last 5 races at Atlanta, but has led the most laps in all 5 of those races, only led 44 laps today and ended up coming home in the 4th position. I mean, he really wasn't dominant, probably because it's aero package, but just sometimes you can't help it, when these new rules come into play, they're trying to make racing competitive and make, instead of just at least 3 or 4 guys dominating, we want at least 8 or 9 or 10 guys in the equation to try and win races. So I think Harvick's going to understand that this is what he's going to have to deal with for the bigger tracks all season long, but he put up a good fight, stayed in the top 5 pretty much for the majority of the race. Started 18th, very strong car. We'll see what he does next weekend in Vegas. Number 4, the Kyles put on quite a show today. Kyle Larson led the most laps, and it looks like he was on route to break the winless streak, until he got caught for speeding on a caution flag pit stop. And he stayed on the lead lap, but he could never recover and get back to the front. He only salvaged 12th place in his McDonald's Chevy. Strong car, but just unfortunately bad luck. Kyle Busch, who qualified in 6th but had to start at the back because he crashed his primary car in practice yesterday, drove up from the back to the front and was able to be a contender. Looked like he had a chance to win. And then all of a sudden, he cut a right rear tire towards the middle stages of the race and wasn't really able to recover. He came back to finish 6th, but was never really a contender for the win. Both Kyles put on a show, just unfortunately, bad luck bit them in the very end. So, tough break for those guys. And number 5, pit road calamity yet again, and it's with... oh my goodness. How many more pit road collisions does Workwear Racing have to cause? And it's the 52 car. Ryan Preece, who was having such a good run for JTG Doherty Racing, and of course, if you saw what he did last week at Daytona, dodging those late race wrecks that finished 8th, was remarkable. He was running the top 10 later portion of this race, and I felt like he was going to be in for a solid run with his teammate Chris Buescher. Until leaving his pit box, the 52 car, BJ McLeod, who was one of the slowest cars out there today, not the slowest car, his teammate in the 51 was. McLeod was slowing down, trying to get to his pit box, and literally just stopped, and Preece ran to the back of him. I mean, I feel so bad for Preece. And Workwear Racing should just be ashamed of themselves causing these pit road calamities, and they're the slowest cars out there, period. Now, if you get in the drive to Daytona, you're fast, but other tracks are the slowest cars. How embarrassing is that for that organization that has 2 charters and has the slowest cars out there and caused problems on pit road, taking out key contenders, guys that had chances to win or chances for a solid finish. How stupid can you be? I just pick up more speed, or else you're going to be parked by NASCAR because you're not meeting minimum speed. I know they were, but come on, you can't keep doing this to guys on pit road that are having solid days. Finally, Chase Elliott, 19th place finish. I mean, they were just a top 15 car. We were really tight all weekend. I just don't know what was going on. We contact with somebody and damaged our front or nose of our car, and then we fell back to 22nd, picked it all the way up to almost a top 10 finish, and then we fell back on that last restart and can only manage a 19th. Just one position out of the playoffs at the moment. There's still a lot of season left. I know, LA fans may be concerned. I'm not concerned as of now, and I'm not ready. I don't think I'm going to be concerned because I still believe he's making the playoffs and he'll have a run down the road. But we got to rebound next weekend in Vegas, where you got to earn your money's worth and you got to make the right calls and the right adjustments to have a winning car. So up next is Las Vegas, the beginning of our 3-race West Coast swing. We go to Vegas, then we go to the desert in Phoenix, and then we go to LA, Hollywood, California for the Auto Club race. So we're going to have some pretty interesting racing with Vegas, which it was the first track that we debuted this aero package and tested it out. Even though it was a Goodyear tire test, it was really a test for the aero package. I was impressed with what I saw. Will we see that same racing next week after today? I think so, but only time will tell when the cars hit the track. So subscribe, like, congrats to Brad Keselowski. He's in the playoffs, and now it's time to begin our West Coast swing. Have a nice week.